I will have the honor of this amazing place for the first time.
So much. Look, wait, look, how is he looking at you, huh? What? Are you getting jealous, huh? No, just so you know, it's not like that.
It's something else.
Let's see there.
What can I tell you? The space is very spacious, like a studio apartment or a container. It measures about 12 meters in length. Of course, it's like a container.
There's a house in a container. Would this be it? Look at that.
Is it finished?
Hello, how are you doing? Welcome to a new video on Viajar Vela La Pena. We're super excited because look at what we have back here. Oh, we're going to discover new realities because you can travel in bigger spaces.
We're exploring the largest vehicle I've encountered, assessing its advantages, drawbacks, and the challenges of traveling in it.
We're here with the Amunches family. That's how they're known on social media. And now we're going to show you the beautiful house they live and travel in.
Their project is called Amunches. This is a family made up of Patricia, Herman, and their daughter Inti. But they weren't always three. When they started the journey, they began in 2003 with a truck like this one, about the same size as ours, and it took them 5 years to get to Alaska. They arrived in Alaska while pregnant, and that's where Inti was born. And they decided to move to this huge bus to travel more comfortably with the baby and have a slightly slower journey. Surely.
There are probably going to be comments saying, Gino, do you guys want to arrive in Alaska pregnant? What do we say to them? No, our
plan is after the trip. Perfect. So now we're going to go up and see how they live.
Look at this.
The bus is 12 meters long. That gives you a lot of comfort, but later they'll tell us how it feels to move around in this, especially in the
cities. We want to know the pros and cons.
The first thing you feel is an incredible spaciousness, freedom, color.
The text is vibrant with color, richness, and a beautiful fragrance.
Plenty of natural light, comes with 2 super comfy armchairs. This is Inti's bed at night. When we built the bus, Inti was super little. The first thing we did was make the wooden floor and then mark with blue tape where everything was going to go. First, we had to bring things in. Before building the walls and everything, we had to bring in the kitchen and the net. So we said, okay, Inti's bed or Inti's room is gonna be this one, Inti. She was this tiny, and we said, okay, let's make everything big so she can fit. And now her little feet fit.
Has she kept sleeping here?
Has she kept sleeping here? Yes, we put this here. It gets longer, but the idea is leave the room in the back for Inti, and we
Do something like yours, a sofa.
bed that folds out like this and
Expands everything. In fact, maybe we'll do it when we go back to Guadalajara in July. The idea is with a carpenter.
We have a couple to recommend to you. The ones you have to go to. We'll send them to you later.
you always need to make changes and adapt as your tastes, needs, and travel experience change. You start requiring different things. Look at this countertop. With these drawers, it really feels just like being in a house.
Because
Sometimes in the little cars, like in the vans or ours, it's like everything very fragile, everything feels very delicate, very small.
But this
Feels super sturdy, like in a house.
the table?
To work comfortably, you need ample free space. When you live
A lot.
time inside the vehicle, that's needed. It has a huge kitchen. It actually has 4 burners, but the oven is really big.
I like it a lot. 1.
Once I think,
How much coffee can we bring here?
the great thing about this is that it gives you a lot of autonomy to go away for many days, far from any town or city.
Look, refrigerator, little fridge. I think that's great. And here's the freezer. It's an impressive thing. Very impressive.
I love this detail of these steel plates. They give it strength and separate the spaces. And that's where the dining room ends, and here another area begins, but at the same time it feels spacious.
Yes, it looks beautiful. The masks, the decoration.
These details, look at the...
Yes.
If you are
In a
beach.
Or is it to ask for help if something happened?
If they have trouble in the bathroom, they can ask for assistance. I really like it, my love. I like it.
A lot. It's
Very beautiful. Here. This will be part of a closet. From here you can see the closet, but from here it's not visible. Everything is very solid, that's all. Again, natural light. Yes.
I like it.
This allows for a lot of ventilation, so, when you cook and everything, it airs out quickly, not to mention this room.
You can't sleep here with a view of whatever you have behind you.
The typical Instagram photo. What?
Beautiful. From Happy Traveler? Isn't it gorgeous?
My queen.
It's huge, it's big, it has space, color, light, spaciousness. It's so beautiful. I mean, working here must also be nice. Traveling, living in something with more space, it's a whole different experience. And now,
We're going to go have someone tell us a bit. How hard is it to get around the city? We all know the advantages of this. Ample space, great comfort, and the capacity to transport many items. Independence to get away from the cities. But what about the hard part of moving such a big vehicle? When you want to visit small places, how accessible is it to go to any beach, or are you very limited? And now let's meet the main characters of the story. Patricia Germain and her husband have a 13-year-old daughter named Inti, who is currently off enjoying her teenage years. And Aurora, who joined the trip 2 years ago. What I'd really like to ask you is, how was the transition when you arrived in Alaska? From going from the vehicle you had, which was small like ours, to something bigger? And why something so big and not something more intermediate? When we started the trip, we improvised a bit as it was only supposed to last a year. So we settled into a small van because the trip was going to end soon. We finally arrived in Alaska after 5 years, after the date that
we had scheduled.
With a baby already on the way, and with a little dog we had also adopted along the way. The van was perfect back then, but we felt that we needed to have a bigger space. Yes, obviously a very well-known story for us. We've always been fascinated by school buses. In Central America, there are a lot of them used for public transportation, and well, we're also very connected to schools. So there was kind of a spirit there, united with the buses. And when did you get to the point of saying, well, what should we switch to or what should we buy? I don't know. We went with the school bus because it fit the whole concept, and it was something that was starting from scratch, right? Yes, even though it came with seats and we had to take them out, it was something we had to build ourselves. Also based on our needs and reality. Now they knew them better.
Exactly, and
The reality of traveling through and knowing what the limitations are regarding connections anyway. So we did it our way and based on what we needed.
Yes, also, well, like Patri says, from the moment we bought the bus, we understood that you buy a house, but you build a home.
So, after everything we had been through, from when we met until we became parents, we wanted to build our first home, right?
So the bus,
Without missing the trip.
without losing the essence of the trip and being able to keep moving, right? So, well then, that's how, as Patrick says, the whole story is born, like Inti said, a house on wheels.
And what's the hardest part about traveling with something so big?
Well, like in life, there are always things that are more comfortable and others that aren't. Besides, no.
Nothing is perfect, exactly.
The perfect moment is made by oneself. Anyway, about the bus, it's very similar to the van we had before, right? When I arrived, I was overcome with nostalgia.
very nice.
It was a small and compact place, which suited our needs at the time, but we've since moved on to our current home. Logistics like parking, city driving, and finding a safe place can be complicated.
There are also a lot of windows to close.
Right? Ah, yes, when it's time.
To go down, there's a lot to close.
Do you feel that you...
Find it difficult when parking in cities where you always have to look for...
To park farther away? Yes, we've already gotten the hang of the mechanics, the routine.
Can you tell me what kind of logistics you have to do so you don't get stuck with the bus in the middle of the city?
Well, today with the bus, what we do is when we're arriving at a town or a city we don't know, we leave the bus outside at a safe place where it's easy to maneuver, and we take out the bicycles and go out with the bicycle. And we physically look for where there's a possibility to park the bus. And we start knocking on the doors of the house or the place where we think the bus will enter, and we start asking for permission. And that's how we start getting in touch with people and finding a place where we can stay.
Wow, that's amazing. I loved what you shared about the lady who didn't understand you. And in the end, what was it that...
Connected you? Oh yeah, it was really nice. It happened to us in an indigenous village. And, well, it was a community there, obviously indigenous. And he spoke Spanish very well to us. And we were explaining to him that we wanted to park the vehicle we were traveling in. And she, with her limited Spanish, if you'll pardon the redundancy, told us, "Oh, you're looking for lodging like Jesus and Mary. Stay."
How amazing. And what's the most beautiful story that you remember from this experience? What's the nicest surprise you've had when knocking on doors and being welcomed? Well,
one time we were also in a community that was a bit closed off, really, an indigenous town, and it was quite hard for us because we had knocked on many doors. And the people were obviously a bit reluctant, kind of tough, until one family finally let us park the bus. And after an hour and a half, all the other neighbors also started coming to offer us to go to their houses. So, well, from that story, honestly, there are many others that are really about achieving communication, about connecting with people.
I love seeing how each traveler lives and how they plan their trip. Because I had never heard of this way of looking for a place to stay before. And especially with such a big bus, I would say, why ask for a place if you have all this space? But you still look for that connection with people. What is it that we sometimes think is lost with a big bus?
Of course, yes. I think there are two factors that come together. First, the connection with people, and second, the peace of mind that our home is in a home. And that's also in terms of security, in terms of that inner peace of being able to leave it and go out to explore and relax, of leaving your things as safely as possible.
All right. So this shows us that being in touch with people doesn't depend on traveling by bike, backpack, a small car, or a huge bus. But rather, it depends on how we find a way to always create that connection.
Yes, and an inner openness, right? Sometimes in the routine we have, in the life we choose, we go to work, come back, and I don't know. We often overlook the person who owns a kiosk and everything around it, not even taking a minute to talk to them. Sometimes I think back to my working days and I ask myself, how many moments, how many situations did I miss out on?
To get to know.
Because you have to be focused on one thing and stop seeing the reality around you, right? So that's something that I find very enriching for.
To apply in all kinds of...
In every lifestyle. Yes, in any lifestyle, yes.
Did you ever feel that having such a big and comfortable bus made you stay inside it a lot and not explore as much?
That's interesting what you're saying. Not to that level of exploring, because that's something natural for us, which is very connected to the essence of the project. But it's incredible because many times we're invited to comfortable places like hotels, family homes, or the countryside, where the bus is inside another house and we sleep on the bus. The one who always gets a spot in the house is Inti, right?
To get away from her parents?
Patri and I achieved moments where an identity and a perspective were established despite the challenges.
Such a special warmth inside the bus that honestly, we enjoyed it a lot.
That's great. The idea is always that to live traveling, you need a lot of money, especially if we see such a big vehicle. We associate it with a lot more money, which isn't necessarily true because it must spend the same as ours or just a little bit more.
Do you know how much it consumes? How much does it consume? I don't know.
Well, from what I've been finding out,
About these buses?
they use about 25 liters per 100 kilometers.
And
Ours uses 18 per 100 kilometers. Then we'll look for it. Seriously?
For
that
we have that vehicle, Chiquito, and you have this for a little bit.
More money, you travel with a lot.
More comfort.
Beyond the money that's needed, we'd like to know how you manage to finance yourselves. Well, the financing part, we have like a formula of different ones. Not all of them work at the same time, but they work depending on the realities and circumstances, and so on. On one hand, we have the sale of photographs, where we go to cultural events and sell our photos. The book about our trip. We also give talks at schools, universities, and companies where we also charge for sharing our experiences. These are motivational talks.
Well, and we have a social project. As the trip focuses on indigenous peoples, Patricia dedicates herself to photography when connecting with those communities. And well, they have a wonderful craftsmanship, so we mix their crafts with the photo. And when they see, with the story. The product is sold with the revenue divided between them and us.
Perfect. What you can do is go check out their Instagram, because the photos are really beautiful, and the texts that go along with the photos. Who
Writes them. I want to know, the driver?
do you rate them?
No, the official driver?
Yes, Patricia.
She writes very...
She always leaves you beautifully, giving you goosebumps like I have now. And there you can also contact them if you would be interested in having them give a talk at any of the institutions they mentioned.
Well, how nice it is to have been able to meet again after such a long time. From Bolivia, Peru, we've been getting to know you through Facebook, and today having the chance to meet you in person makes me feel really good about how transparent you guys are.
Thank you very much, such good vibes. A hug, I'll play you some emotional music right now.
On top, something you don't know. At some point we're relatives, she and I, two descendants of German Russians.
I don't understand. You repeated 30 years several times. Did you already mention that the girls are traveling together?
It wouldn't be bad.
And you take the dog with you, and you take the dog with you. 31.
How mean?
Time.
31 years married, not of
Married, 22, and...
22, but is it the same together? Well, after 10 years, it's all the same, I think. Yes, right? I love the story of these nomads as they've gone beyond being mere travelers.
It's already
Lifestyle now, it doesn't matter if you reach a destination. What they're doing is traveling all over Mexico for the past 4 years, fulfilling that desire to bring and share with all the communities. We invite you to get to know them and subscribe to our channel to see more inspiring stories like this.